Thursday at 6 and 11 on KCRI3. The world of Craigslist. Steve places an ad. His laptop for sale. A buyer's interested. Everything's going fine until...
That's when he pulled out the gun.
At this point, the gunman told Stephen to turn around. He told him to put his hands on the wall.
And I was waiting for him to pull the trigger.
How he got through it and the one piece of evidence the gunman left behind. Plus, 3 things you should know before you buy or sell on Craigslist. Thursday at 6 and 11 on KCRI3. Thursday at 6 and 11 on KCRI3. His Craigslist ad becomes robbery at gunpoint.
And I was waiting for him to pull the trigger.
3 things you should know before you buy or sell on Craigslist. Thursday at 6 and 11 on KCRI3.
Wanted to make a deal on Craigslist, but he ended up with a gun to his head. We'll explain. And thanks. And still on the way, ambushed in a Craigslist connection. How a criminal attacked a man after he tried to make a deal online.
Plus later, with the click of a mouse, the world of Craigslist opens up and you can find tools, tickets, even relationships. Whatever you're looking for, you can probably find it on Craigslist.com. But some people are getting more than they expected. KCRA3's Teo Torres has the story of one man who ended up with a gun to his head.
You know, I've sold quite a few things on Craigslist before. They've all been positive experiences.
That is until Steve Monroe of Sacramento listed his Apple MacBook for sale. An honest man, he took multiple photos, listed all that was included. Soon after, an interested buyer called.
He said, "When can you meet?" I said, "Well, I can meet you later today. I had an appointment."
Steve agreed to meet the man at this Starbucks near the Sunrise Mall in Citrus Heights to make the exchange. A safe public place. The two built a rapport during the drive, speaking multiple times. The buyer told Steve he was looking for just such a computer for his daughter.
He called me back and he said, "Hey, I had to run across back to my house, to my apartment. Would you mind just meeting me over there instead?"
Steve agreed and drove to the Pepperwood Knoll Apartments a short ways away. The buyer told Steve to look for him standing at the rear of the complex.
He's waving me down, looks friendly, seems like everything's okay. I go, "Okay," wave to him.
As Steve got out to get his computer, the situation changed.
And I was trying to make conversation with him. I said, "So this is for your daughter?" Because he seemed really younger than I was expecting on the phone. And that's when he pulled out the gun.
At this point, the gunman told Stephen to turn around. He walked him to this covered carport well out of view of anyone that lived at this apartment complex. He told him to put his hands on the wall and not to turn around.
The things that go through your head when you think that it's it. There's a million things that flash through, and then I just was waiting for it. I just closed my eyes and I was waiting for him to pull the trigger.
5 minutes passed and nothing. Steve dared to turn around and found nothing. No gunman, no computer. Shaken up, Steve began to drive home. And then it dawned on him.
I had his number in my phone.
Hello? Hello?
Now, coming up tonight at 11, Steve Monroe calls that number back and finds out who's on the other end of the line. And we will take a look at a disturbing Craigslist trend developing right here in the Central Valley. Again, that's tonight when KCRE3 reports at 11. And there's more breaking news tonight about crimes on Craigslist. Today, that Bay Area-based website has pledged to crack down on prostitution ads on the website. The company says it will start forcing anyone who posts an erotic services ad to provide a phone number and pay a fee with a valid credit card. That move comes after 40 state attorneys general challenged the company to provide information from questionable web posts.
A Craigslist sale becomes a robbery at gunpoint.
And I was waiting for him to pull the trigger.
What you need to know before you buy or sell online.
Well, it's like an online garage sale. Craigslist is a popular site to unload old stuff and even make some money.
The criminals are also using it to make money. KCRA3's Teo Torres has the story of a Sacramento man who nearly lost his life as he tried to sell a computer to a stranger.
I had his number in my phone.
Steve Monroe had the cell number of the man who had just robbed him at gunpoint during a Craigslist laptop sale. The buyer turned criminal got away with Steve's computer but left behind his cell number on Steve's phone. He decided to call.
When he picked up the phone, he asked who this was. I said, "This is the guy who you just robbed at gunpoint." And he immediately hung up.
The voice sent chills through his body. Steve knew it was the same guy and immediately called the Sacramento Sheriff's Department.
He said I was his 4th case this week. He said it was the 4th case of this same exact thing, of gunpoint Craigslist.
We're overwhelmed.
we're absolutely overwhelmed.
Captain James Cooper and others in the Sacramento County High-Tech Crimes Unit work to solve crimes like Steve Monroe's. But with so many to deal with, and with high-tech criminals often a step ahead of them, it's tough.
It's never ending. And as more people gain access to the World Wide Web through PDA, cell phones, that just expands the number of cases we have.
So what role does Craigslist play, if any, in this type of crime? Well, we went to the source to find out.
The percentage that ends in a significant crime is vanishingly low when you compare it against the overwhelming legitimate usage on the site.
Jim Buckmaster, CEO of Craigslist, claims they're not able to track the number of crimes involving Craigslist. The task would be daunting, he says, pointing to the 50 million monthly users, 35 million ads currently listed, and 12 billion monthly page views.
You know, the incidence is not zero. We'd like it to be zero, but it's not zero.
Both Buckmaster and the Sheriff's Department say violent crimes like Steve's are actually rare. More common, crimes like stolen items for sale, offers of prostitution, and money fraud. It's a fact that doesn't return Stephen's computer. Investigators continue to work his case with no arrest made yet. Frustrated, and perhaps as he admits foolishly, Stephen recently called that cell number back a second time and left this message.
Basically saying, I know who you are, and we're going to find you.
Yep, still haven't found him, working the case still. If you use Craigslist to buy or to sell, there are some important steps you definitely need to take, if at all possible. Avoid conducting a Craigslist transaction at your own house. Choose a public place with people around to make the exchange, like a coffee shop or a popular restaurant. Don't deviate also from the set plan with a buyer or a seller. That's what Steve did. He knew he shouldn't have done it, even when he did it. A last-minute change could be trouble. It definitely was for Steve. And finally, you definitely, guys, need to just trust your instincts. I mean, Steve said there were so many red flags, and, you know, when he was driving home after he saw the phone number on his phone, he was like, why didn't I just trust myself?
I think sometimes people don't want to be rude, and you go along with something because, yeah, and that can be...
He said, I'm so codependent, I didn't want to upset the guy.
I know, it happens. So, you know, investigators do see crimes associated with Craigslist. What are some of the other problems here in this area?
Some of the most common crimes that they're seeing in this area involve like money fraud. If somebody, like, you're doing a transaction by mail, kind of like eBay, something like that, they'll send you a money order for way more money than it's supposed to be worth. And so they say for $1,500 and the item only costs $1,000. They say, just send me the other $500. Turns out that cashier's check is not real, and you just sent them a legitimate cashier's check for $500. Another big one is real estate. Say you're looking for a place to rent. Somebody will take a legitimate website with pictures of a house, put it up for rent on Craigslist. You email them and say, hey, I'm interested in this house. They're like, I just got transferred to Europe. Just send me your deposit and first month's rent, and I'll mail you the keys.
Oh, sure.
Red flag.
Yeah, that's
red flag
a big
right
red
there.
flag, but people are falling for it, so watch out.
Tough lessons. Thanks, Teo. Appreciate that.